All right, what's up, guys? We're back for another year of Monterey Car Week. I'm actually standing right here next to the beach right now. Unfortunately, I forgot my sunglasses, which is kind of a bummer. And I was only able to find parking like 10 minutes away from Ocean Avenue. So I had to walk quite the distance, but I mean, that's Car Week. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and go find some breakfast. And then after I get some food in my stomach, we'll go ahead and start looking at some cars. So skip forward to the cool stuff. So the first car to catch my eye was this Plymouth Superbird. I actually think I saw this car once before at the Classic at Pismo Beach. It was actually one of the only Dodges in the show actually, so I thought it was pretty cool. Up next we have this Ferrari F430. I don't think it's a Scuderia, but I've always been a big fan of the F430s. I'm not really biased when it comes to the regular F430s or the Scuderias, but I thought this one was really nice. Then I ran into the new Lamborghini Revuelto. Never really been into this car, but apparently it's pretty big right now, so I had to get a clip of it. Then I ran into this Porsche Cayman right here. For some reason I've always seen Porsches as like feminine vehicles, but I still do think they are really nice. I decided to film this one because I really like the color. I thought it looked pretty similar to the blue on my Mustang, so I thought that was pretty cool. Then I ran into this classic Cadillac, at least I think it was a Cadillac, honestly I'm not even sure. But it's always cool to see these old style vehicles that were so long and big, no homo. But I always wonder like how did people actually like used to drive these vehicles? Like how much of a burden was it to really drive these on the streets back in the day? Up next is this Shelby Cobra. I think I've been really getting more and more into Fords, even though a lot of people like crap on Fords, especially F-150s, but my dad's always been a Ford guy, and I now own two Mustangs, so I think a Shelby Cobra is coming in my near future. I really like those cars. Up next was this Pontiac Firebird. I believe it was a Firebird, and I decided to film this car because I thought the color was really like bizarre and really not so common. I felt it was like a mix between like a golden brown and almost like a bronze. I really couldn't like decipher what the color was, but it was sick. Then we had this classic Mustang, and at first glance this looks like any classic Mustang, but really, once you analyze it, I found out that this was a California Special Mustang, so that made it like a whole lot cooler than I initially thought. Plus it was in red, so that makes it even cooler. Now this was definitely one of the craziest cars I saw on my trip to Car Week, and you guys might say, Alex, it's just a Ferrari, it's just a 488 GT something, I don't know, I'm not very good with Ferrari names, but I thought the wrap was pretty cool. I've always seen like Marlboro wraps on other cars, but I never saw it with the blue, so I thought the blue kind of made it stand out, and I thought it looked awesome. Up next is another Ferrari. You guys are going to have to let me know down in the comments what Ferrari model this is, because again, I am not very familiar with Ferrari names or Ferrari models, but you guys let me know. I decided to film this one because one, the color was really pretty, and two, I really liked the wheel specs. Then we had a super dope Ferrari F430. Not just any F430, this one was actually a real Scuderia, and I thought it was really sick. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a good shot of the car because people kept walking by, and I didn't want to be rude, but it was a sick car nonetheless. Now this was something I definitely didn't expect to see on my stroll down Ocean Avenue. This was actually Federico Sarifo's Pro FD car, like his real FD Pro car he uses in competition, which is awesome. I didn't really think I was going to end up seeing a Formula Drift car on my trip to Car Week, but as you can see, I found it. Then I found a nice Ferrari F12. I'm not sure if this F12 was a Berlinetta, but I've personally always preferred the look of the F12s over the 812 Superfast. I'm not necessarily sure why that is, but this one was in my dream spec with the Ferrari red and the black leather interior. Honestly, I think I really prefer the look of the F12 taillights over the Superfast taillights. Now I believe this Ferrari was a 488, but you guys can correct me down in the comments if I'm wrong. But I remember using this car like on Forza Horizon back when I used to play video games a lot, and this car has always caught my eye. Now this car I believe was an 812 Superfast. I hope I'm not wrong, but as you can see, it looks pretty similar to like the body style of an F12 Berlinetta. But like I said, I honestly prefer the look of the F12s over this one right here. but it still is a pretty dope car, especially in all black. Then I found a blue Porsche and a couple McLarens. I think they were both 720s. I think this one had like a carbon fiber like front splitter and side skirts on it, so that made it look pretty cool. And then the other one is a McLaren, not a 720. I think this one's actually a 570. I hope that's not wrong. I think it's a 570S, and it had a pretty cool wrap on it that was like kind of race inspired. And then there was another one right across the street driving right by me. Then there was another 720S right up the road, and I think this one had like some sort of body kit on it. I hope I'm not wrong, but I think this was like the P1 style body kit, or no, maybe it was the Senna style body kit. I'm not sure, but it was pretty cool. Then I found the most expensive car I probably witnessed at Car Week, which was obviously this Bugatti Chiron in a nice mustard yellow with black, and then right behind it was a Koenigsegg. What are those called again? Regeras, I think. I don't know. I'm not a big Koenigsegg fan, to be honest. Then there was a Ferrari and then an Aventador right behind those. So I guess that was a pretty cool find as well. And it's always cool to see a Bugatti because that's like a $4 million car. Alright, time to judge some more poor people cars again. So next we had this all black Cadillac CTS-V. I've never been like a big Cadillac fan. When I think Cadillac, I think of like those old, like long, heavy, super horrible fuel inefficient cars, you know what I mean? But I've always been a big fan of the CTS-V, to be honest. I think Cadillac really hit it on the nail. Plus, it has an LS motor, so like you can't really complain. I definitely drive one of those. Up next, we had a convertible Mercedes-Benz Coupe. Now, you guys in the comments are going to have to let me know what car this is, because when it comes to Mercedes-Benz, I know absolutely nothing. All I know is that I've never seen this type of car before, and I thought it was really sick. That's why I filmed it. And I really liked the body style of it. Again, never been a big Mercedes fan, but this car was pretty nice. Then I found one of my most favorite cars of all time, which is the Audi R8. I'm a big fan of the first gens and the second gens, but honestly I couldn't tell you which one I like better because they're both like super awesome looking. But this one was in a really pretty color, so I decided to film it. Then I ran into some more Ferraris parked on the side of the road. I have no idea what this black Ferrari is right here, right in front of me, so you guys are going to have to let me know down in the comments. I think it might be like an F8, but I might be wrong. What I really wanted to look at was the F430 Scuderia right behind it. I've always been a big fan of the F430. I remember being a kid and having like a remote control F430, and ever since then that car has always like stuck in my brain. Then I ran into a Lamborghini Aventador SVJ. Honestly, I thought I was going to run into a lot more SVJs on my trip to Car Week, but surprisingly, this was the only one I actually ran into. When it comes to the color combo on this SVJ, I'm not the biggest fan of it, but I'll let it slide this time. Then of course I had to get a clip for the Mustang guys, and I was actually lucky enough to find a Terminator Cobra New Edge Mustang parked right on the side of the road in Carmel, which is super awesome. I didn't expect to find a car like this, especially a New Edge Cobra, and this one was really taken care of on some DSWs and it looked awesome. Then when I was walking back to my car, I found this classic Camaro on some US mags in an all black nice paint job, and it looked super dope. The only thing I noticed is that the driver left his headlights on. As you can see, his orange halos are on. Then I found this classic Mustang that's a fastback, I believe, with a Golf livery. I have no idea what Golf is or what it was or whatever it means, but I thought the design and like the livery was pretty cool, and I've been slowly getting more and more into classic Mustangs, and I think that's probably due to the fact that I now own 2 Mustangs myself, and so I thought it was pretty cool to see this car just parked on the side of the road like that. Then I ran into some classic Porsches. Again, I'm not really like a huge Porsche fan. I've always thought like Porsches are like feminine vehicles, but that doesn't mean they're not cool. They definitely are sick looking cars, especially this purple one right here with a wide body kit on it, and I think it was even on some real BBS LMs. I cannot verify if they were real or not, but regardless, this purple one looked super awesome, all white interior. I mean, just an amazing car. I would have chosen a different color, but regardless, that was a beautiful car right there. Then we got back to looking at some Ferraris. Again, I don't know what model this Ferrari is, so please let me know down in the comments below because I am genuinely curious. I like how the rear end looks on this model Ferrari, but like the whole front end just ruins it for me. I don't know what's up with that front end, man. Then I ran into this Pontiac Fiero. Just kidding, obviously it's not a Fiero, but that was like the first car that came to my mind when I filmed this car. Again, not familiar with Ferrari, so I don't know what model this is, but it looks super dope. I would assume somebody at GM or at Pontiac probably copied the design for the Fiero right off of this vehicle right here. And then the last car of the day was this blue Mustang right here. I decided to film it because I think it had the same paint color that my Mustang has, which is Vista Blue. And so, you know, just a good old classic convertible Mustang. Like I said, I've been getting more into these as of recently, so I thought it was nice. Alright guys, so it looks like that's going to be just about it for Car Week 2025. I actually enjoyed this year's Car Week more than last year's because last year I came on a Saturday, so it was absolutely packed because it was a weekend. And this year I came on a Thursday, so of course there's lesser people, lesser traffic, and you're really just like more able to enjoy the show and the cars without so much commotion going on. I remember when I came last year, it was actually like pretty hot, and this year the weather for the most part was just like cold and breezy, which is how I like it. The sun came out for like maybe 2 hours, but aside from that, the weather was like absolutely perfect in my opinion. And so that's going to be just about it for this video, guys. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And with all that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video.